Welcome, everyone. I see people are filing in right now. We're going to start up probably right around 101 Central. Give people ample time to get in, but we won't be delaying long. So we appreciate you coming in today. Oh, goodness, I realized that I was giving my intro on mute. So welcome, everyone. My name is Kevin Lehan, and I'm the National Sales and Marketing Manager for Emergency 24. We have a great crowd today, and I think that's because we have a great topic. This is an important issue in that's coming up in the industry, the 3G CDMA sunset. So kudos to all of you for being here, understanding this is an issue that you're going to have to address in the next 7 months, and that's going to go quickly. So I'm not going to take up much more of your time, and I'll hand it off to Scott Gobbi, who is the new Midwest sales rep for Telguard. Scott's not new to Telguard. He's been there for several years on the marketing side, so he knows their product line inside and out. So Scott, thank you for your time today, and I'm going to give you control over the presentation. And just so everyone knows, if you have any questions, please use the QA function. We'll break in logical stopping points to address those, and we'll make sure that we address all the questions at the end. So with that, Scott, the floor is yours, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, Kevin. Give me 1 second. Let me get this screen going here, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Great.
All right. Can everyone see my screen here?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. So thank you again, everyone, for taking the time to join the call with us this afternoon. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. I am, like Kevin said, not completely new to Telguard, but new to the sales role. So, I have a lot to get to today as we address these upcoming 3G and CDMA sunsets. So I'll go ahead and jump right into my presentation here. And, I just want to mention, real quick, what is Telguard for anyone on the call that may not be familiar. Well, simply put, we're the alarm communication experts. And what we do is, a Telguard basically is an alarm communicator that replaces a landline in a security system. So, whether they're, a traditional POTS line, we have communicators for residential, commercial security, commercial fire, that can be used as a sole path of means of communication. It can be set up as a primary communication path with a line of landline backup. It can be set up as a backup to a primary landline. And we like to say that we've never met an alarm panel that we didn't like. And that's kind of what we're alluding to when we speak of universal compatibility. So our communicators will speak virtually any alarm format out there, more alarm panels than any other brand. And we use the top 2 networks in the country, AT&T, Verizon. Now, that's a little bit of background about what Telguard does. But now let's talk a little bit about why Telguard is a great option for signal forwarding on cellular solutions. And we all know that, as landlines become more and more obsolete, a cellular solution is becoming even more necessary. So why choose Telguard? Well, we've been in this business for over 30 years. We've been communicating signals over the cellular network since the late 1980s. So we have a great idea. We know what we're doing. We really do care about growing your business, and we want to add RMR to your business model. What better way to go in and grow your business? And all of our LTE or 5G communicators that we have right now will allow you to add that RMR to your business. We came out with the first universal LTE alarm communicator a while back, and recently we also released the first 5G fire alarm communicator. So Telguard, it's really a great for any use case, whether you're doing a sunset upgrade, whether you're replacing a POTS line. It's perfect for takeovers. We have a feature when you program the unit that you can hook up a Telguard unit and take over any panel that you're locked out of. And also great for new installs because of that versatility of speaking more, several alarm formats that can be transmitted to your central station. And we also have, a great add-on service with Home Control Flex. That's our interactive solution. But I'll talk a little bit more about that here on my next slide as we get into the features of Telguard alarm communicators. So, they are full data capture units. And basically what that's saying is it's going to transmit the signal from the panel to the central station in the same format that it was received. Contact ID and SIA, those are the most popular. Also, some of the modems, radionics, DMP, Sonatrol panels that we have. Even some of those older 3x1, 4x2 panels. If there's a panel out there that's communicating in any format, you can put a Telguard into it and it'll forward that signal to the central station. Also, our products, they're all UL listed for residential applications, commercial fire applications. And then we also have some of those add-on services like link supervision for your commercial fire accounts to supervise that communication path, right? In those commercial fire applications to help you meet the NFPA 72 standards that your fire marshal will require, whether 2010, 2013 edition, 2016, 2019, whatever it is, that you can rely on a Telguard in that case as a solution to not only forward the signals, but install it the right way so it's up to that NFPA 72 requirement. And then also Home Control Flex. That, again, is our interactive solution. And what it'll do is it allows you to remotely arm and disarm your system from your phone, your desktop, your tablet, whatever mobile device that you prefer. And you'll also get email notifications, text notifications, or even push notifications from our Home Control Flex app of any alarm status change in your system. So just to kind of better understand Telguard, I want to talk about just the basic signal forwarding process you'll see here with a Telguard. So in general, this applies to any Telguard alarm communicator. So when a signal is generated here in your system, whatever system it may be, any one of these categories, the Telguard will take that signal from the panel and then deliver it using the cellular networks, AT&T and Verizon, to our Telguard communication center, where it is decrypted and then delivered on to your central station. That can be for a cellular solution. It can be over a POTS line, and we also offer things like IP delivery. So there's a lot of varieties and that you can use to deliver this signal. But this is kind of this slide right here is just kind of a good idea of what the communication path looks like from cradle to grave. So now that's a little bit of background on Telguard. Let's get into kind of the meat and potatoes of this presentation and talk about the upcoming 3G and CDMA sunsets. Now, before we dive in, I really just want to mention, that, we have been around a long time. We've gone through the analog sunset way, way long ago. We've been through the 2G sunset, and now we're facing this 3G and CDMA sunset. So we have experience in the industry, and we're taking a dealer-first approach. We listen to what works over time, and we've kind of put these thoughts and these concepts and messaging together to help guide you through these sunsets. Now, I will say, I'm not here to tell anyone how to run their business, but I do want to offer some of those suggestions that may be helpful as you start building your strategy, as you implement or adapt your existing strategy. So let's jump right into the 5 steps to sunset success, the 5 steps to a successful sunset strategy, right? When we talk about the 5 steps, we're really breaking it down in step 1. We have to understand what the events are and how they're going to unfold. Also, we got to understand what our options are. What are our options that we have for replacing devices? What's our strategy as far as, tackling these events that are about to occur? Step 2, you're looking at, you have to, after you know what you're up against, what you have to face, you got to understand your labor capacity. How much extra work can you really handle? I mean, we're all in the business to make money, right? So we don't want to just provide security customers to collect RMR. We're trying to grow our business. We don't want to stick with just those 50 customers or the 100 customers that we had. We're constantly trying to grow that business. So step two is really about, you want to understand your labor capacity and just understand how much more effort you can put into this initiative on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, right? Because we understand that there's a current population and we want to identify who they are, understand the time it's going to take to keep that business while continuing to grow our business, right? And then step three, plan to increase perceived value. This is a big one for anyone. This is a concept that we know what it is. We've all heard it before, but it's not always talked about unless you're on a sales call or something like that. But this is something that is really important to incorporate into your strategy, because we can call, we can email someone, we can let them know what's going to happen, but it's a different approach than going to a customer that you wanted to install a brand new service for. So then, on this step 4, really, you kind of gathered all the information. Like we know what's going to happen. We know when. We've explored our options. We've done the research. We took the time. And then we internalized some of that information to understand how much more work can we handle with the team that we have. And we've identified our population. So from there, it's really about mapping out your strategy, building out those steps, and starting to plan, who do I contact first? How do I contact them? And how many people do I have to contact? In the interaction of how much time that we can dedicate to this. Step 5, also a very, very important step, is it's not just acting, it's reacting. The willingness to adapt your existing strategy, because everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? So things will happen, things will occur. It doesn't always work as intended, but just understanding that going into it, we can reassess, right? We can react with those strategies and make sure at the end of the day, whatever happens, whatever I have to change around in between, I'm meeting my goals. So the easiest way for me to kind of convey this message of the 5 steps is to think about it in terms of a case study, is to follow along with an example. So let's look here, and you'll see, let's pretend, this is Scott's Alarm Company. I'm the owner. I'm the main salesperson. I got a small 3-person team. I got 1 person in my office that is dedicated to managing the Telguard. I got a couple installers out in the field. And maybe that 1 person in the office is doing some accounting as well. They're doing those service phone calls, whatever it may be. So Scott's Alarm Company, kind of a smaller company, a small, lean team trying to manage this sunset upgrades. But I want you guys to keep that in mind as we work through these steps, just to, in terms of the case study. So what is going to happen? What are we up against? What options do we actually have? So, if you've been in the business for a few years, you know that at the end of 2016, the 2G sunset happened. And basically the same thing is happening with 3G and CDMA technology. Basically, we're on our way to the finish line, but the race is already being run, right? So things may already be changing in your area. And if they're not right now, they will. So for these sunsets, the AT&T 3G sunset is set for February 22nd of 2022. Verizon, we are looking at a scheduled date of December 31st, 2022 for those CDMA devices that are going to sunset. And essentially, they are ending the service for these technologies, right? And we will continue to see changes leading up to these sunset dates. There's no metaphorical off switch, if you will. It doesn't mean, that when we get to February of 2022, when we get to December of 2022, that's the cutoff. A couple of concepts I want to talk about real quick are frequency farming and bandwidth changes that will affect us. These are two concepts that will impact our industry in a very, very real way. Unfortunately, we don't get a lot of heads up from the carriers on when some of these frequency farmings are going to occur. So we kind of just have to understand and react to some of those changes. But basically, when we talk about frequency farming, it's kind of like when you tune your radio to a different station. You're connecting, you're turning the dial, you're linking up with a different frequency so you can change to that other radio station. And so what's happening with 3G and CDMA is kind of like a radio frequency. You'll have 3G devices and LTE devices sharing the same frequency when it connects to that cellular tower. And so what's happening is when they farm the frequencies, these carriers, they will take that frequency that was shared by 3G and LTE, and they will move it and reallocate it only to LTE. And so then what happens is you're left with a device that was working perfectly before. It may have had a good signal strength, but let's say the tower that it's connected with has been farmed and it's been moved over to LTE. So with that 3G device that's affected, you'll see drops in signal strength. You'll see connections start to kind of waver and eventually decline, because now that tower that it's familiar with reaching out to, that had that 3G frequency set up, is now LTE. So the 3G unit that's there is reacting to find the next closest tower, right? And that one may be farther away. It may take a little more time to connect to it because of the location between the device and the closest cell tower, wherever it may be, just because it's looking for a 3G frequency, and that frequency has been farmed over to LTE, also 5G, as they build out that network. So and the same thing with bandwidth. Let's say they have 3 bands right now, one for LTE, one for 5G, and AT&T, just as an example, they have the one for 3G. Now, they will go ahead and move those bands so they have 2 on LTE. So it's stronger, it has a bigger reach, it's more powerful, better signal strength, better coverage, right? But let's put ourselves in the shoes of AT&T and Verizon for a minute. Let's pretend that from a business perspective, we're AT&T and Verizon, right? And so we start to look at the core of our customers. 99% of our customers are going to be using consumer devices. And it really just kind of boils down to who's using the most data. Those consumer devices are using the most data. And that's 99% of their customer base. So when we think about a Telguard communicator or another manufacturer's communicator, we're really only about 1% of these carriers' business. And we call those, I would categorize them as IoT or machine-to-machine devices. And just to give you an idea of how much data an IoT or a Telguard communicator would use compared to those consumer devices that are using gigs and gigs of data, a Telguard device after a month, like a full month of Telguard data usage, is really only consuming about as much as a 1-minute YouTube video. That's about it. So if I'm AT&T and Verizon, I'm going to cater to the 99% of my customers that are using the most data that I'm making the most of my profits on. So that's, they're catering to those Android and iPhone users, and that's really kind of what we're facing and why it's happening. So just kind of understanding that from a business perspective, understanding that this is something that we do have to actually go in and replace those devices. So we understand the events. What's going to happen? Well, what are our options? Excuse me. So what options do we have? Well, we have to understand what our options are. We're essentially reaching out to customers and we're letting them know that you really, if you're a 3G or CDMA customer, there's really not another option than to replace that device to keep that critical communication path to E24 to your central station open. So, what you want to do is you want to take advantage of any cost-saving opportunities that you have. One thing that Telguard is doing here is on the commercial side, we have this unit here, the TG7 UBL LTE. It's an LTE upgrade board that you can swap out for any commercial TG7 or TG7 FS communicator. And so, instead of having to buy an entirely new unit, you can just leave the enclosure on the wall and just swap out the board for that radio, and that is to help kind of save time with the installation, right? If you're a fire alarm dealer, you know how complicated it can be to put an entirely new unit in place, right? You've ran all this rigid conduit, you've hooked up all the wires and everything. It can be a little more involved than just swapping out the board. So this product here, this TG7 UBL, what it does is we are just giving you only the parts that we know you need. That 3G or CDMA unit that's already installed, you have the battery connected, you have the adapter already in place, you may have an antenna cable. So what we're going to do with this board is really only the things you need. Number one, you're going to need that LTE board. Number two, you're going to need that brand new LTE antenna. And that is very key. I've seen some customers when they go through these upgrades, they'll accidentally, by mistake, just put the 3G antenna on. Just make sure if you're electing to take this cost-saving opportunity and use this product as an option, that you're putting the new LTE flat antenna on that device. It's very important just to make sure everything goes smoothly. But since we're giving you just what you need, it minimizes our cost to build the product. It minimizes shipping costs, and we're transferring those savings onto you as a customer. You don't have to remove the enclosure, so we're also minimizing that installation time. It's a very basic installation when you're swapping these boards, and it take maybe 10 or 15 minutes to pop the old one out, put the new one on, screw in the new LTE antenna, and then fire some signals to activate the unit. But also, it allows you, if you just swap it through our website or using our Telguard Tools app, you can keep the account history. You can have the history on the account for those signals because the programming is in the same place. It's on the same account, and all you need to do is go in and swap the board. So you have, that account history is continued. Also, if there's a unit out there that you're not 100% happy with the signal strength on, and you think maybe a Verizon unit would be better, or AT&T, this is a great opportunity just to simply swap out your carrier to Verizon or AT&T. So that's another thing to keep in mind. For commercial fire, there's another cost-saving opportunity I want to let you guys know about. I alluded to this earlier in the presentation, but we do have the first 5G fire alarm communicator available. It's so new that right now we only have AT&T available. Verizon will be coming out later this summer. We're excited about that. But the value here is, it's a 5G communicator, which means it'll extend past the LTE sunset, which is not even scheduled. So that value that you can pass along to your customer is, hey, if you were to select this product that's 5G, you can have a longer installation life past the LTE sunset. It also powers directly off the panel, so that'll save you some time and money from having to hire an electrician to install an outlet, right, to power the unit. Nope, just throw a Telguard in there. If you're taking over from another manufacturer's product, that's a great solution just to drop it in. And like all our products, it's UL 864 listed for fire, everything involved, and also compliant with those NFPA 72 standards. Jump the gun, back up. One more cost-saving opportunity that you can take advantage of is, you have a situation where you're going to a residential customer and they don't have an option, but essentially they're going to have to replace the unit and they're not really gaining a whole lot from it. So we have this buy three, get one free TG1 Express promotion going on right now. That deal is good until the end of 2022 to help support you all through the sunset. So if you got at least 4 3G or CDMA units to replace, go ahead and take advantage of this. Get them all at once and take advantage of this promotion. And then you have the choice to, keep those savings for yourselves or transfer that on to your customer as a way to keep costs down just a little bit. But it's something that you definitely want to take advantage of as you understand your options. And another thing, I know I talked about Home Control Flex a little earlier. If you're using TG1 Express, you haven't tried it, we are offering it to you for new activations and sunset upgrades. Try it for 3 months free. See how you like it. It's something that you can go in and offer to your customer, and that will make them kind of get the sense that you're upselling them on a new service, but you already had to get out there to upgrade their unit. It just kind of makes it perceived value. We'll get to that in step number 3, but things like it makes it seem like they're getting a little more than they initially intended, and you can add value to that account. So those are our events, our options. Let's jump to step 2. I want to understand my labor capacity for Scott's Alarm Company. We've gathered all this information. We know we want to grow our business, but it's not, physical installation is only half the job. There's that cost of taking the time to schedule these service calls, reaching out to your customers. You know who you have to convert, but we need to get them on board and set that up. The biggest chunk of work is going to be with scheduling those upgrades. We've all dealt with it, right? You'll schedule something with a customer and they'll give you a call later on and say, that time doesn't work. I need to reschedule. And it happens. It's something that we're going to have to deal with. And it's just going to come up from time to time. Every customer is different. Every customer is going to react differently. So Scott's Alarm Company runs the numbers, and we decided that, okay, we can handle about 4 extra hours dedicated to the sunset in the office for reaching out to these people. And my 2-person installation team out in the field, they can handle about 8 more. So while I'm growing my business, I'm also maintaining those existing customers. So anyone on this webinar today, I encourage you to kind of internalize that information and really think about what makes sense for you and how much more that you could add. And then how many units do we need to replace? That is huge. We have to understand our population to understand what we're up against and how much work we have to anticipate. Right. It's also a good chance to talk to the folks at Emergency 24 and reconcile those records with your central station as you're pulling that Telguard subscriber list, reviewing it. You'll check in with them just to kind of reconcile those records. Now, I want to take a second here. I want to show you how simple it can be to get a Telguard subscriber listing and identify that population that has 3G accounts, that has CDMA accounts. here. So I'm going to go to my subscriber list on Telguard.com. I'm going to click on search subscriber. That'll bring up my list, but I want to go down to the bottom and view the report. So from there, I want to filter it down to only the active accounts and hit that filter button. And then that'll pull up a list of all my subscribers with all the details that I'm looking for. I'm going to export it to a CSV, open that up. Give it a second here, and then once that comes up, there we go. We have a field in there for network type. It's going to explicitly identify whether it's 3G, CDMA, we need to work on those, or LTE. Maybe it's a 5G fire communicator. We don't have to worry about those, but we have to understand that population. We have to get accurate reports so we can plan for these upgrades. So step 3, we have to plan to add perceived value during the sunset. What is something that would only take the technician a couple extra minutes to do while he's already out there on site? How can we add value and upgrade some of these services? We've identified who they are, who needs to be replaced, and the concept of perceived value. Let's say that I buy a cell phone in 2016 and it lasts me until today, or versus buying a cell phone in 2018 and it lasts me till today. That phone that I bought in 2018 is going to have a higher perceived value because it lasted me longer. They both broke on the same day. Well, I prefer the one that I got in 2016. The perceived value is higher because it lasted me longer. It served me for a longer period of time. Same thing with like a car, loyalty on a car. I drive Toyota because I've never had a breakdown. It's lasted me 300,000 miles. Toyota is my brand. The perceived value of a Toyota versus a Ford or whatever it may be is higher because of that experience. Some value has been added on top of that. So that is something that is so important to include in your sunset strategies. We have to kind of get creative and think of some ways that we can add value to these deals. Home Control Flex is a great one for residential. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but hey, after 3 months, let them try it free. If they like it and they want to keep it, that's more RMR in your pocket. That's, you're being able to deliver that perceived value that they're getting a sunset upgrade and they're getting this extra added service. But, let's say they like it and you're offering it for $5-10 a month. And after 3 months, that's more RMR for you. If you have a commercial fire customer that's using a landline as a backup to your fire radio, maybe consider SoulPath as an option. You can go to your customer and remove that phone line, go to SoulPath, and then that way you can go to them and say, I'm going to save you $100 a month because you won't have to pay for that landline. We've selected a SoulPath solution, and I'm going to save you money. And also, for you guys, the dealers, that's our money, that's RMR that you're taking from the phone company and also adding into your monthly recurring revenues. So, and those are kind of a couple things, but it can be even simpler. Maybe you just do a complimentary battery check. Maybe you do a complimentary panel check to make sure that's connected. Maybe you just do an overall system check your zones, make sure everything is working. Or if it's for fire, or maybe you have an inspection scheduled, pair up your inspection and your installation, your sunset upgrade date. Maybe we can pair those up to add value to the customer so they know they have the latest technology and it's already been inspected and approved. They're good until the next sunset or some of it occurs. Maybe it's as simple as just giving them a new sign to put in their yard. Something like that. Anything you can do to increase the perceived value to where on paper the customer feels like, yeah, I had to go through this upgrade, but I feel like I'm getting something a little extra. So, and the concept of kind of upselling like that is, you can't have it unless you're upselling with empathy, right? You have to be understanding. You have to understand the situation with what's going on, and really, you have to care about your customer. You have to, just kind of understand that this is all going through and say, hey, I know I'm out here doing this, but let me also throw in home control flex. I know it's kind of an inconvenience, but let's add to the perceived value because I care about you as a customer. I want to maintain your business. I'm going to increase the perceived value. Step 4, it's time. So we know the events. We know what our options are. We understand our labor capacity. We have identified. We went to Telguard.com. We got our 3G and CDMA subscriber population. Now we need to start piecing all of the strategy together. Again, you can reconcile that with your central station. Understand. Let's talk about just some hard numbers here. So if I understand how many months I have leading up to the sunset, I could do the math and get down to 0 here. So Scott's Alarm Company, let's see, we ran the numbers here at Scott's Alarm Company, and we got 54 units that will be affected by this upcoming sunset. There's 18 AT&T that need to be replaced, and I got 36 Verizon that need to be replaced. Okay, so right now we're looking at 9 months until that AT&T 3G sunset, and I have 18 units. Okay, 18 months till Verizon, 36 units. Okay, let's see. I want to run the numbers here, and okay, so I have a pace that I need to set of 2 3G AT&T units to upgrade a month and 2 Verizon CDMA units that need to be upgraded each month. Okay, that's my pace. I understand it, and that is the goal. Now that is upgraded. That's not contacted. That's not called. I just want to be very clear that it does need to be an upgrade just to kind of keep that pace for Scott's Alarm Company to have all of his units updated by the sunset. We need to set that pace. That's our benchmark, and we need to, do everything we can to meet those strategies. So, but who do we contact first, right? We got our list. We know who they are, but where do we start? So one thing is I'm going to take another look here at my list, and I want to point out this field that we have on our subscriber list, activation date. Do some simple Excel maneuvering, if you will, to filter and sort by that activation date from oldest to newest. Okay, that'll give us an idea of who to contact first, because if we think a little bit more back to step 3 and that perceived value, okay, just like my cell phone that I got in 2016 versus the one I got in 2018, there's going to be a higher perceived value for the customers that have had their systems the longest, right? So that's where I want to start. I want to start with the ones that have the highest perceived value. So the longer a customer has a product, the higher the perceived value. Okay, I can use that Telguard Sunset Subscriber Report to understand who I need to contact first. How do I contact them? Well, I have on the screen here a couple options. Invoice stuffers. You can do snail mail, emails, phone calls. But I'll just be honest with you. I don't know the best way to contact your customers, right? But you may have a better idea. We'll have to kind of understand. I don't know the level of communication that you have with them. So some customers are at the point where maybe you can text them, or maybe it's all a digital campaign or snail mail, whatever it may be. I'm just offering a few ideas, but at the end of the day, the best way to communicate with your customer, whether from past experience in the sunsets or just day-to-day interaction with them. So that's a huge part of the replacement strategy. Step 5, I said it earlier, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. we've gone all the way to step 4. We've gathered everything. We put our plan together, but we also want to be able to adapt, right? We want to use those tools that are available to us. The Telguard website for direct replacements, the Telguard Tools app for an installer that's out on the go. And the best way when you're working with Telguard and you're upgrading these radios, that's an existing one, is to, whether you're using the app or on our website, go in there and instead of deactivating, don't deactivate the unit, don't detach it, go to the replace feature. Just punch in that new LTE or 5G serial number on the device and swap that out. That's the best way to go and manage it. So knowing that going in, I can go and adapt on site and put all that together to keep my customer upgraded, right? So adapting to customer response is also incredibly important, right? We have to adjust accordingly. Just to give you an example of that is, okay, we got this magical plan. I got two AT&T units a month, 2 3G units a month. That's the plan. I'm going to stick to it till the sunset hits. Well, there may be some unexpected things that occur. When we see that frequency farming and those bandwidth changes start to occur in a certain area, and it's affecting a lot of customers in that area, maybe we have to shift our focus. Instead of starting by the activation date, we need to focus a little bit more and serve those customers in that area. So that's just an example, but you know, we don't live in an ideal world. We think we do, but it never quite works out just the way we plan. So we have to be prepared to change our plan if needed. We have to have some backups and understand how to work those as well. So step 5, that kind of wraps it up. We've brought up all the plans and everything. That's a lot of good stuff. I got a little bit more I want to get through. We've talked about how to kind of formulate that strategy. Now, what do we say to our customers? How do we make them act quickly? How do we entice them to act? Well, let's take a look. I want to address those financial questions and marketing those to your customers. So, I like to think of it as a tiered approach, right? A nice wedding cake. We'll start with tier 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it may be. But think of those as a series of limited time offers with a financial incentive to entice them to act quickly. We want to reward those customers that act quickly, because we know as closer we get to the sunset, we don't want to have to, knock their door down and try to go update their system, whatever it may be. But if you were to set the time frame of that the offer is going to expire, that can help create some urgency with your customers. So what Telguard's done is we have put together messaging for you to use to communicate to your customers. We have sunset letter templates. They're simple Word documents, so if you need to copy them to an email campaign, email stuff them, customize them, whatever it may be, please take advantage of these in communicating with your customers. Now, they're customizable. You can drop in the customer's name, your name. There's a link to some carrier information, but we have one for each sunset. Now, these are a great opportunity for you, when you personalize them, is to include some of those limited time offers that are going to expire to entice those customers to act quickly. Include those in these sunset letters. They are on our website on Telguard.com. Need help finding them? Let me know. Let your dedicated sales rep know. We're here to help. We want to get you to figure this out. Okay, so here, just as an example, let's think of tier 1, right? We got our wedding cake over there. We're going to start with the casting a wide net on tier 1. So you want to assemble that letter that we saw on the previous slide. So the pricing you see here, this is just as an example. You know your costs, you know your budget, you know what works for you, but just for example's sake of how to extend those limited time offers, I want to take a look at this. So let's say tier 1, upgrade before the end of the summer for $99, After that, your price will go up to $149, just for example's sake. Again, it's whatever makes sense to you and your company. The first wave of the tiered approach can be kind of the softest. Hey, this is happening. We're offering this to you, but you got to act quickly. You got to get that system replaced soon, right? So it can be a little bit of a softer approach as you build up, but we're incentivizing the act. But we're giving that financial incentive to act. So where do you go from there? Step 2, after that first tier, that first line of communication expires, you're going to plan for your second message. And there, I wish I could tell you exactly how many touch points it would take, but I really don't know. It's kind of unpredictable there, but it needs to be a multi-phased approach. Although you're providing that incentive, it doesn't necessarily mean you need to raise your price. So here when you see $129, yeah, we raised it a little bit, but if you still do this within the time frame that I'm offered you before this expires, you'll get that cost savings. But afterwards, things will be a little bit different. So this is like slightly more aggressive, not quite as soft as tier 1, but we're kind of ramping up to it as we get closer to the sunset. As that urgency increases, that's what we're working towards here in tier number 2. Tier number 3, this has got to be one of the more urgent messages. Whenever this may happen, as we get closer, we're going to need to get a little more stern in our messaging. And the timing of this message really just depends on, what type of, how much progress you've made so far at knocking down that 3G and CDMA population. Maybe you do it the last 60 to 90 days, you get a little more stern and just let them know, hey, you have to do this right now to avoid that disruption of your alarm system. Once the unit goes offline, maybe the cost is higher, because your car's so higher, whatever it may be. But kind of that last wave, the last 90 days, 60 days, something along those lines, just as an example, is when we need to ramp up on that messaging and just get it to be a little more stern, a little more forward. Tier 4, man. So this is a tough one. This is kind of as a last resort. Let's say we get to the sunset, those dates have come and gone, and you got a situation where a customer's unit has gone offline. You still need to extend another wave of communication out to them and just say, hey, your unit has lost communication because of this reason. We reached out to you in the past. We weren't able to set something up, but now it's absolutely critical as a last resort to keep you monitored that we need to get that system upgraded to LTE or 5G so we can keep you online and monitored. So I know I buzzed through that relatively quickly, and we're getting close up on time here. A couple things I just want to mention. Telguard has a site on a page on our website dedicated just to supporting you during the sunset. Here you can go and you can type in the serial number in that bar right there. Check if it's 3G. Check if it's CDMA, whatever it may be. Verify if it's a unit that needs to be replaced. We also have some previous webinars that we've done, and also just some other helpful tips and tricks on that page. So I really encourage you to visit there. Also, we have a YouTube channel. It's chock full of training videos for our dealer portal, for installation. There's even some more webinars that some of the sales team has done there. That's a good resource. And then, as always, we encourage you to like and subscribe so you're staying up to date with the latest content from Telguard. And so what we pride ourselves on is our customer service and tech support team. They're all U.S.-based. They all have been at Telguard for at least 5 years. A lot of them were installers in the field before joining our tech support team. So we have a really, really knowledgeable team of experts that's here to assist you, and we want to help. We want to be an extension of your team. And There's not a lot of other people you can call, tech support, customer service, that'll answer the phone in less than a minute. So that's something that we pride ourselves on, and we really do want to be here to help you. So I can't say this enough. Maybe it's you want to reach out for a matter that's not customer service, tech support related. Reach out to me. If I'm your sales rep for your territory, please let me know how I can help manage these sunset upgrades, these transitions, because we're all in this together. But you know what? We also have a sales page on our website. You can click on your state to find out who your sales rep is. If it's not me, still reach out to me. I'll connect you with your sales rep to the best person to help you. And I want to leave you with one last thought. So some of you may have heard some rumblings that AT&T may extend their sunset date until the end of 2022. Well, I want to let you know, as part of our dealer first approach, we've taken a leadership role in advocating to AT&T on your behalf. We know how COVID-19 affected all you guys and your ability to make progress. You know, there was a lot of reluctance to enter customers' homes, to enter customers' commercial buildings or office space. Maybe they weren't even there at the time. But we have taken a leadership position to present that to AT&T. We worked with the AICC. We've worked with senators, with representatives, with the FCC to persuade AT&T to postpone. Now, that doesn't mean that anything will change. We haven't heard anything to that end yet, but we're not going to stop advocating on your behalf. Absolutely. We understand how tough it's been with the pandemic to get things updated. So really kind of, I can't guarantee something will happen, but we won't stop fighting for you. So I know I've talked 90 miles an hour maybe and gone through a lot. So now I want to pass it back over to Kevin and see if we have any questions that came in on our chat.
First, I want to say, Scott, that was a tremendous presentation, very informative. You gave some really good concrete strategies, so thank you. That was very helpful, and being able to identify on your website the accounts that need to be addressed. That's very functional information, and because you did so well, you covered everything. We don't have a single question that's come through. So this really was a great presentation. We had a large group that stayed all the way through, and they're still here. So we thank you for your time today. And I do encourage you, if you have any questions, reach out to Scott about the sunset. If you have questions for Emergency 24, obviously you can contact us. Here we go. Why are 4Gs not included in the sunset?
That's a good question. So 4G technology, it's kind of in between 3G and LTE, if that makes sense. It's a situation where they share a couple of frequencies and it meets maybe a couple of the specifications for LTE and a couple for 3G. So when they migrate over those, and I really kind of think of 4G as LTE, but we don't really, say that our products are 4G. We just kind of stick to LTE, to 3G, CDMA, LTE, or 5G.
Thank you. And do we have any other questions? And I want to point out that thank you for advocating for the possible delay here. But folks, don't kid yourself. This is a private company, and they want to use their asset how it's most profitable for them. So don't count on the telecoms to bail you out here. I would plan on having that hard deadline met. Okay, let's find another.
Absolutely.
Where can we find the sample customer letters? Telguard website, I assume?
Yes. So those are under the documents section of telguard.com, and I believe they're just called AT&T customer sunset letter template, something along those lines. Take a look there. If you don't see them, give me a call. Give our customer service team a call. We'll help point you in the right direction. And if you want to email me, I'll go back to the slide with my contact information, so you have it. Email me it's scott.gobbi@amatech.com. I will send those to you directly.
And you can also reach out to me or anyone at Emergency 24. We have a template letter as well that we could put in your hand. But
excellent.
Definitely, you want to make sure you start communicating with your customers right now. That's for sure.
Yes. Absolutely.
Now
is the
questions
time.
coming through. Well, seeing that we have none, let's just wrap this up. Scott, again, thank you very much, very, very much. And everyone else who attended, I appreciate your time today. I believe it was a good use of your time. But if you have any questions, again, for hardware, talk to Scott. For Central Station Service, please give me a call. Y'all have a great day. Bye now.
Thanks, everyone.